It was a breezy Sunday afternoon, the kind that made our neighborhood park feel like a slice of peace. My daughter, Emily, was in her usual spot beneath the old oak tree near the playground, giggling as she tried to race the other kids across the grass. She wasn't fast, but she was determined. Every step she took in those pink leg braces was a step that had taken months of therapy, struggle, and strength. I could still remember the day the doctor told us she might never walk. Now, she was doing more than walking. She was running, chasing butterflies, and shining brighter than ever. I sat on a nearby bench with my coffee, watching her with the kind of pride that swells up and warms your whole chest. Parents of children with disabilities understand that kind of pride. It's not about winning medals or trophies. It's about seeing your child do something the world said they see. OULDN single quotes T. Emily was trying to climb the little rock wall when she slipped. Nothing serious, just a stumble, but she laughed it off and brushed herself off. That's when I noticed her. Karen. That's not her real name, of course. I've never cared enough to learn it. But she's lived 3 houses down for years, always judging, always glaring. She's the type who files noise complaints if your grass is too long or your wind chimes are too distracting. She stood stiffly near the jungle gym, arms folded, lips pursed like she'd sucked on a lemon. Her sunglasses were pushed down just enough that you could see the judgment in her eyes. She wasn't looking at the park, the kids, or anything else. She was looking at Emily. I tried not to assume the worst. Maybe she was just watching, I told myself. Maybe she was just having a bad day. But that tiny hope shattered when she started. Walking, no, marching straight toward my daughter. I stood up from the bench, instantly on alert. Karen crouched down near Emily as she picked up a dropped toy. From where I stood, I couldn't hear the words, but I saw the moment it hit my daughter. Emily's face changed. Her grin collapsed like a house of cards. She froze, eyes wide and lip trembling. I rushed over faster than I've moved in years. By the time I got there, Karen was standing tall again, like she'd just done something noble. "Is there a problem?" I asked, keeping my voice level. My hands were shaking, though. Karen shrugged like it was nothing. I just told her she shouldn't be climbing on things like that. With ... those. She gestured with her hand toward Emily's braces like they were some kind of biohazard. My daughter looked up at me. Her eyes were glassy, but she hadn't cried yet. She was holding it in, trying to be brave. That shattered me more than anything. "You told her what, exactly?" I asked, stepping between them. Karen let out a fake laugh, the kind people use to cover up cruelty. "Oh, don't get so worked up. I just said those leg things make her look a bit broken. It's not safe for the other kids to see something like that and think it's normal to be running around with disabilities. It might make them uncomfortable." I can't even describe the rage that boiled up in me. The kind of rage that only a parent feels when someone hurts their child, not physically, but emotionally, in a way that plants a seed of doubt inside their little heart. "Karen," I said, doing everything I could to keep from exploding, "my daughter is not broken. She's stronger than you'll ever understand. If you ever talk to her like that again," she cut me off. "Oh, please. I'm just looking out for the other children. She needs special attention, not a playground." I took a deep breath, trying to choose my words carefully. Emily stood quietly behind me, her small hand gripping the edge of my shirt. That made it real. This wasn't just a petty neighbor squabble. This was someone attacking the spirit of a little girl who had already fought so hard just to be here. I crouched down and looked Emily in the eyes. "Sweetheart, you're perfect. Don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. You hear me?" She nodded, biting her lip. Then she whispered, "Can we go home now?" I stood back up, looked Karen dead in the face, and said, "You should be ashamed." She scoffed, turned on her heel, and walked back to her SUV without another word. And I stood there, in the middle of the park, feeling like the air had been knocked out of me. Back at home, I sat with Emily on the couch as she clutched her favorite stuffed unicorn. Her silence was the loudest thing in the room. "Why did she say I look broken?" she finally asked. I took her tiny hand in mine and said, "Because some people don't understand what strength looks like. You're not broken. You're a fighter. You're brave. And those braces, they're your armor." She didn't say anything, but she smiled. Just a little, and that was enough for now. The next morning, Emily didn't want to get out of bed. She wasn't sick. She wasn't tired. She was just quiet. She stared up at the ceiling like she was waiting for something to make her feel better, but nothing came. Her braces were sitting neatly at the foot of her bed. Usually, she liked putting them on herself. Today, she didn't even reach for them. I stood in the doorway for a while before I finally asked, "Sweetheart, do you want to go to the park again today?" She didn't answer. A few seconds later, she turned her face toward the wall and pulled the covers over her head. That moment broke something in me. This wasn't a scraped knee or a failed math test. This was something deeper. This was shame, and it didn't belong in her heart. It belonged to the woman who said those awful words and left without a care in the world. I sat on the edge of her bed and gently pulled the covers back. "You don't have to go to the park," I said softly, "but I want to talk to you. Can I do that?" Emily nodded slightly. I brushed her hair from her face. You know how some people are afraid of things they don't understand? Like how some kids are scared of the dark or thunder. Grown-ups can be like that too. "Karen, she said something really wrong yesterday. Not because you did anything wrong, but because she doesn't understand how amazing you are." "But what if she's right?" she whispered. I paused. "She's not," I said firmly. "You are not broken. Broken things don't get stronger. You do. Every day. Remember how hard it was when you first got your braces? And now, look, you run, you climb, you chase kids around like it's nothing. I still fall a lot. And you get up every single time." She stayed quiet, but her eyes slowly met mine. "Do you want to do something brave today?" I asked. "What?" "We're going back to the park, but not just us." That's when I pulled out my phone and made a few calls. By the afternoon, I had gathered a small group of parents. Parents of kids with wheelchairs, with autism, with hearing aids, with visible scars and invisible ones too. We'd seen each other in passing before, therapy centers, clinics, special education meetings, but today, I didn't invite Karen. I didn't need to. Emily stood next to me at the park gate, holding my hand. She looked unsure at first, but when she saw another girl with purple leg braces wave at her from the swings, something shifted in her eyes. "Can I go play?" she asked. "Go ahead, baby." And just like that, she let go of my hand and ran. They played tag. They climbed the jungle gym. One boy even had a walker and was determined to make it to the top of the slide. Another kid had a service dog that laid patiently by the bench, while his boy threw a ball again and again. It was beautiful. It was chaotic. It was exactly what childhood was supposed to be. Then Karen showed up. I noticed her from across the playground. Her arms were crossed again, but this time her face wasn't just annoyed, was confused. Like she'd walked into a world she didn't understand anymore. She stood there silently for a few minutes before finally walking over to me. "So, what's all this?" she asked. I looked at her calmly. This is community. These are kids being kids. And these are parents who are done letting people like you make our children feel like they don't belong." Karen scoffed. "You're making this a whole thing now." I stepped closer, not aggressively, but firmly. "No, you made this a thing. When you told a little girl she looked broken, you don't get to say something that damaging and walk away like it didn't matter." I was just being honest. I shook my head. No, you were being cruel. And there's a difference. Her eyes narrowed. Well, I hope you're happy turning the park into some kind of therapy session. I am, I said, smiling. Because my daughter is smiling again. That's more than I can say for yesterday. Karen glanced around uncomfortably. The sound of kids laughing, some limping, some wheeling, some stimming it, all filled the space around her like a reality. She couldn't filter out. Then she said something I didn't expect. I didn't mean to hurt her. For a second, I just looked at her. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But I also knew that people like her had a pattern they push. They dismiss, and only when pushed back do they act like they didn't know better. Well, you did. And I hope next time you think before you speak. Karen didn't reply. She just turned around and walked back toward her car. Later that evening, as we were packing up, Emily ran to me, sweaty and laughing. Mom, I made a new friend. She has braces too, but hers are sparkly purple. I smiled. That's awesome. Did you have fun today? She nodded. Can we come back tomorrow? You bet. She hugged me tightly, and for the first time since yesterday, I saw her fully light up, again not just smiling, but glowing dot, and in that moment, I knew no one was ever going to dim that light again. The following week, something shifted in our neighborhood after that emotional day at the park. Word spread faster than I expected. A few parents posted pictures of the kids playing. One showed Emily helping another little boy steady himself on the balance beam. Another showed her grinning mid-swing, her braces catching the sunlight like polished armor. Those photos did something important. They showed joy, resilience, and belonging. The same park where Karen's words tried to crush. My daughter's spirit had turned into a stage where she and other kids like her could shine. I didn't intend to make anything go viral. But sometimes truth travels faster than cruelty. A local parenting group picked up on the story. Then a regional blog reposted the images with a title like, "When Kids Teach the Grown-Ups What Real Strength Looks Like." Suddenly, my inbox was flooded with messages from parents, teachers, therapists, even teens and adults with disabilities, who said they had once been an Emily. People thanked us for speaking up, for not backing down, for reminding them that being different never meant being less. Karen, however, was nowhere to be seen until she showed up at my doorstep. It was a Thursday evening, just before sunset. Emily was inside playing with a puzzle, and I was cleaning up the porch when I noticed her silver SUV pull up. I froze for a second. A part of me wanted to pretend I wasn't home, but I wasn't going to hide in my own house. Karen walked up too. The porch slowly, like someone approaching a courtroom. She looked different, less confident. Her eyes darted to the sidewalk, then back to me. "Hi," she said flatly. I nodded. "Can I help you?" She shifted uncomfortably. I wanted to talk. I didn't say anything, just waited. She took a breath. Look, I didn't expect all of this to blow up like it did. People are calling me names online, saying I'm a monster, that I hate disabled kids, that I'm a bully. I kept my arms crossed, and I didn't mean to cause this much drama. I nearly laughed. Karen, this isn't drama. This is the consequence of your words. You told an innocent little girl that her leg braces made her look broken. That kind of cruelty doesn't just disappear. She flinched slightly. I just thought kids like that should be more careful. I didn't mean that's the problem, I cut in. You didn't mean to hurt her, but you did. And instead of apologizing, you walked away. You turned your back on a child, a brave, joyful, smart child who has spent her whole life proving people like you wrong. Karen looked down again. For a moment, she was silent. Then she said, quietly, I've never really been around kids like her. I didn't know what to say. I guess I panicked and said something awful. Aside. It wasn't an excuse, but at least it wasn't another lie. Then maybe this is your chance to learn, I said. You don't get to undo what you said, but you do get to grow from it. She nodded slowly. Do you think she'd let me apologize? I didn't answer right away. Part of me wanted to say no. Part of me didn't want to give her the opportunity to fix what she broke. But Emily wasn't just a fighter, she was kind. And if I wanted her to keep believing the world could change, I had to show her that even people like Karen were capable of growth. Let me ask her, I said. Karen stood awkwardly on the porch as I went inside. Emily looked up from her puzzle. Who was at the door? Karen. Her smile faded a little. She said she wants to apologize. Emily thought for a moment. Will she be mean again? No. I'll be right there with you. And you don't have to if you don't want to. Stood up. Okay? I want to hear what she says. When we stepped back outside, Karen looked surprised but relieved. Emily stood beside me. Arms behind her back, braces locked into place like armor again. Karen knelt awkwardly. Hi, Emily, she said softly. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. What I said was wrong. It was mean. It wasn't true. You're not broken. You're honestly really brave. I shouldn't have spoken to you the way I did. Emily was quiet. Then she looked up and said, You made me feel like I shouldn't be at the park. Karen looked down, visibly ashamed. I know, and I was wrong. Emily tilted her head. It still hurt. I'm so sorry. Then, something incredible happened. Emily stepped forward and gently said, It's okay now. But next time, don't talk like that to any kid, not just me. Karen nodded quickly, holding back tears. I won't, I promise. After she left, I hugged Emily tightly. That was really brave, I said. She grinned. I know. That weekend, the city held a play for all day at the park. Parents from all over brought their children, some with disabilities, some without. There were ramps built into the play structures, swings designed for wheelchair users, and volunteers helping. Everyone joined in. Emily wore her braces proudly and even got to show off her glitter stickers she'd added the night before, and there, in the corner, stood Karen, not yelling, not judging, just watching. She brought juice boxes and handed them out quietly. She didn't try to make a speech or center herself. She just helped. And maybe that was the real beginning of change, not a dramatic showdown, but a slow, quiet shift toward compassion. As for Emily, she now calls her braces her super legs. Because they help me do things people say I can't. Every step she takes is a reminder that strength isn't always loud and it never needs permission to exist.